Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this video I'll show you how to create this About Us section using HTML and CSS. So this is how it looks. We can see that we have this image on the left side and we have all this content on the right side. We also have this background color on the right side over here behind this content. So we will see how to design this using CSS. And this is also responsive. So if you decrease the width of the browser window, this is how it will look on tablets. And if you decrease it even more, this is how it will look on smaller screens, that is smartphones. Let's go ahead and create this using HTML and CSS. So let's get started. Right, I have created this folder called About Us section, and I have this folder called Images where we have this image, and we're going to use this in our design. So let's start by creating the necessary files. I'll just create a new file called index.html. Let's create another file called style.css. And let's start with the index.html file. In VS Code, we can just type exclamation and press tab, and you'll have this basic HTML file code. And here let's link our CSS file. So I'll just type link and press tab. And in the href, let's type style.css. And let's start with the markup of our design. So the first thing we will do is we'll create a container division, and let's give it a class of about container. And in this, we need to have two sections, one for the image and the other for this content. So let's create a division with the class of about image, and in that we will have the image. So I'll just create an img tag, and in the source let's type images/about image.jpg, and then we have another section on the right side. So let's call it about info. So let's create a division with the class of about info, and in that we need to have all these other sections. So the first one is this text over here. So I'll just go ahead and create a paragraph for that, and let's give it a class of info, and let's type about our design studio. And then we need to have this heading. So let's copy this heading from here, and let's create an h2 for the heading, and let's paste it over here. And then we need to have this paragraph. Let's copy this, and let's create a p tag, and let's give it a class of description, and let's paste the text over here. And then we need to have these two different sections. So let's create a division with the class of features for that, and that we will have these two sections in two separate divisions. So let's create a division with the class of feature, and in that we need to have the icon and this text. So let's create a division with the class of icon, and the icon, let's add the icon. So let's get the icon from heroicons.com. So here we are in heroicons.com, and let's search for check, and let's select solid, and let's copy this icon from here. Let's click on copy SVG, and let's paste it over here. And then let's go ahead and create a division after this icon division, and let's create a division with the class of feature description. And here let's go ahead and copy this heading, and for the heading we'll create an S3. Let's paste it, and let's create another paragraph over here, and let's paste this text, and let's paste it over here. Right now let's go ahead and copy and paste this feature division, and I'll just paste it down one more time. And let's change the content. Let's change this heading to tailored creations. Let's paste it over here, and let's copy this text, and let's paste it over here. Right now let's create this button. So for that, let's go outside this features division, and let's go ahead and create an anchor tag, and you can add the link of your page over here. I'll just type hash for now, and let's create a class called btn. And here for the text, let's type learn more. And the last thing we need to do is we need to create a div for this background color that you see over here. So for that, I'll just create a division with the class of bg color. And that's basically it with the HTML of our design. So let's open this in our browser and let's see how it looks. So I have this extension called Live Server installed in VS Code. So once you have this installed, you can just right click over here in the HTML file and click on Open with Live Server. And here we can see all the content are displayed in our browser. Now let's go ahead and style this using CSS. So let's go to a style.css file. And the first thing we will do is we will set the margin of the body to 0. And then let's go ahead and set the size of the image. So let's go ahead and type about container, which is the container division. And let's target the image. So let's type img. And let's set the width of the image to 400 pixels. And let's set the height of the image to 100%, and let's tap object fit to cover so that it has the correct proportions. and here we have the image. And we'll also set the object position to top so that the top part of the image is always displayed. Now let's go ahead and target the container division, and let's place these two elements, which are the about image and the about info, one next to the other. So let's type about container, and let's type display of flex, and let's add a gap of 60 pixels between the elements, and let's type align items to the center to bring it to the center vertically, and let's add a max width of 1200 pixels, and let's bring everything to the center. So let's type margin inline, which is margin left and right, and let's set it to auto. And let's also add a padding, and let's set the padding to 30 pixels. And let's set the font family to Roboto sans serif, and let's set the color of all the text to 1D3557. Now here we can see we have this division for the background color, and we're going to position it as absolute, so it can go outside our about us division. So let's go ahead and add an overflow of hidden so that we don't have the extra scroll bar at the bottom. Right now let's go ahead and set the width of the icon so that we can see everything clearly. So let's tap about container, and we have this division with the class of icon. In that we have the icon displayed. So let's go ahead and set the width of the icon to 30 pixels, and let's set the color of the icon to E63946. And now we can see we have the correct width for the icons. Right now let's go ahead and style this info division. So here we can see we have this division with the class of info, and in that we have this text. So let's tap about container info, and let's set the color of the text to 457 B9D, and let's set the font size to 18 pixels. Right now let's style this H2. So let's tap about container H2, and let's set the font size to 50 pixels. Let's set the line height to 1.2, and let's set the margin to 0. Right now let's target all the paragraphs. So let's tap about container P, and let's set the font size to 18 pixels and line height to 1.8. Let's also add a margin top of 30 pixels. So this is how the paragraph looks. Right now let's style these features division. So we need to have these features one next to the other in larger screens. So let's tap about container features, because we have this division with the class of features, and in that we have the two features. So let's type display of flex, justify content to space between, and let's set the background color to white, and let's add a padding of 16 pixels, and let's set the margin top and bottom to 24 pixels. Right now let's go ahead and style this feature. So in the features division we have a division with the class of feature. So let's tap about container feature, and let's set the display to flex, because we want the icon on the left side and the content on the right side. And let's set the flex to 1 so that both of these features have the same width. And let's set a gap of 16 pixels between the icon and the text. Now here we can see that the icon is shrinking because of the content on the right. So here for the icon, let's type flex shrink, and let's set it to 0. Now the icon will not shrink. Right now let's style the S3. So let's tap about container feature S3, and let's set the margin to 0. Now let's target this paragraph inside the feature. So let's tap about container feature P, and let's set the margin to 0 for this as well, and we will add a margin top of 12 pixels. Let's also add some padding to this icon. So here for the icon, let's go ahead and type padding of 0 top and bottom and 4 pixels left and right. Right now let's go ahead and style this button. So for the button we have this anchor tag with a class of btn. So let's go ahead and tap about container btn, and let's go ahead and set a background color of transparent, and let's set a border of 2 pixels solid, and for the color let's type E63946, and let's set the color of the text to this dark color, and let's remove the underline by typing text decoration to none. Let's set a padding of 12 pixels top and bottom, 40 pixels left and right. And let's also set the display to inline block so that we have the padding top and bottom working correctly. Let's set the font size to 18 pixels and font weight to bold. Let's also add a margin top of 16 pixels. And now when we hover over this, we need to have this hover effect. So for that, let's go ahead and type about container btn :hover. And let's set the background color to this red color when we hover over this. And let's set the color of the text to white. And let's add a smooth transition. So let's type transition of all 300 milliseconds ease. And now we can see we have this hover effect. Right now, let's go ahead and add this background color that we see over here. So for that, we have created this division with the class of bg color. So let's go ahead and target that. I'll just type about container bg color. And we need to position this division relative to this about info. So here we can see we have this division with the class of about info. So first of all, we need to set the position to relative for about info. So let's go ahead and type about container about info, and let's set the position to relative. And for bg color, let's type position absolute. And now let's set the width to 300 pixels, and let's set the height to 300 pixels as well. Let's set the background color to 00BFFF. Let's set the top position to 93 pixels and right position to 60 pixels. And this is how it looks right now. I need to bring this division to the back of the text. So let's type z index of -1. Right now, let's go ahead and set the opacity to 0.6. And now let's add a blur so that it looks like this. So before that, let's go ahead and type border radius of 50% so that we have this round shape. And let's set the filter to blur, and let's set the value to 120 pixels. And this is how it looks. So with that, we have designed the desktop version. Now let's go ahead and style the tablet version. So for the tablet version, we need to have these two features, one below the other. So for that, let's go back and let's add a media query. I'll just type at media, and let's set the max width to 1100 pixels. So whenever the screen width is less than 1100 pixels, all these CSS will be applied to our design. So let's type about container features, and let's set the flex direction to column, and let's set the gap to 30 pixels. And this is how it looks. This is on larger screens and this is on tablets. So that's basically it for the tablet version. Now let's design the smartphone version. Now for the smartphones, we need to have the image on the top and all the content below the image. So for that, let's go ahead and add a media query. I'll just type at media, and let's set the max width to 970 pixels. And let's target the main container division, which is about container, and let's set the flex direction to column, and let's add a gap of 30 pixels, and let's set the max width to 600 pixels. And this is how it looks on smaller screens. Let's go ahead and change the dimensions of the image. So let's tap about container img, and let's set the width to 100%. And now let's target the container of the image. So let's tap about container about image. So here we can see we have this division with the class of about image, and let's set the width to 100% of the parent, and let's set the height to 400 pixels. So this is how the image looks. Now let's go ahead and decrease the size of this heading. So let's tap about container h2, and let's set the font size to 40 pixels. And let's go ahead and change the CSS of this background color. So let's tap about container bg color, and let's set the width to 240 pixels. Let's set the height to 200 pixels, and let's set the top position to 233 pixels, and let's set the right position to 160 pixels. And with that, we have styled our smartphone version. So this is how it looks. So that's basically how you can create this about us section using HTML and CSS. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.